Well, it's the 18th day. We are 90 minutes into the ride this morning. Got a pretty decent jump out of the gates, and had sort of hoped to get a lot of miles in today, but we've been joined by our old friend, the headwind. So that's going to slow things down a little bit. Those weeds are leaning the wrong way. Now Minnesota is doing all it can, and this wind is blowing maybe 20, 25. But I'll tell you what, I've seen worse. In fact, I've seen quite a bit worse. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crank right up the road until we get to wherever it is that we need to stop for the day. Probably definitely cross over into Wisconsin today. It's about 40 more miles to the border, and then we'll look for a nice place to set up shop along Lake Superior. And I'd be willing to bet that this really isn't an east wind. This is a confused south wind. We spend a couple more hours cranking along here. I'll bet it'll blow over to the south, and it won't be quite as much of a drag. But yeah, here we are in northern Minnesota. Passed a couple of small lakes this morning. Got ourselves some birch, some new pine, and over here looks like some wetlands. But yeah, already into my candy bars for the day, so gonna have to get lots of calories in to push into this wind for a while. Okay, here we are rolling into Carlton, Minnesota, approaching the Wisconsin border. Guess things we can look at. We are looking for a cafe because I want some breakfast today. But the flags are kind of pointing at me. It's not the end of the world. It's like a vibrant little downtown here. Population was 862, I believe. So I'm gonna get me some eggs and bacon, French toast, hash browns, you name it. Need some calories to crank into this wind. Well, welcome to Wisconsin. We have just crossed the St. Louis River and rolled into Oliver, Wisconsin without so much as a welcome sign. That was kind of a downer. Pretty interesting, we actually shared the bridge with a railroad. See a train's coming by right now. Yeah, the railroad had the upper deck and the highway traffic had the lower deck on this bridge. So that was an interesting bridge. Lots of warning signs, no big trucks, watch out, sharp turns, etc., etc. You might notice that the wind has picked up quite a bit. It is really blowing, and it is in fact a headwind. Got me thinking a little bit. About 3 days ago, the wind was very strong out of the east in North Dakota, really taking it out of me that day. And then the next morning I get up to ride into Minnesota, and there was a tremendous tailwind pushing into Minnesota. So now it's 3 days later. I'm on the far east side of the state of Minnesota, and there's a very strong wind pushing into Minnesota. You ponder that for a second. Maybe it's a very low pressure place. But yeah, it really picked up this afternoon. It's not quite the ridiculous level that we dealt with in North Dakota, but it is a substantial headwind. See, our trees are fluttering around. It's actually a little bit down right now. I should be rolling along. But decided to stop and sip a little Gatorade, collect myself, figure out where exactly I'm going. I think it's pretty well a straight shot from here to South Superior. And then I don't quite know how to pick up Highway 13, but that'll take me up to the taking you up to the Lake Superior shore, where of course the wind will be much less enthusiastic, right along the big lake. Everything's always calm there. I got my plants all leaning over here. Anyway, it's been a grind today. It's been a grind. Given up on the thoughts of going as far as Bayfield. The plan now is to stay low, keep on cranking nice and steady, see if we get 100 miles in today, and set up shop. Do it again tomorrow. Seven and a half hours in here on day 18. We are now on the shore of the big lake, Lake Superior. We have a nice stiff breeze out of the northeast now coming off the lake. So it's still a little in my face, but about half across, as opposed to directly in my face. I'm zooming in. We're still on a little part of the lake. We can see the north shore of Minnesota over across the way there. And by the time we get over to the Black River Harbor, we won't see anything except lake, and more lake. We are moving along pretty slow into this wind today. We're at 101 miles right now. And I'm, I think, just a few miles outside of Port Wing. Right up the road that way, Port Wing. And if there's a place that sells a beer in Port Wing, they are going to have one happy customer. For some reason I would suspect that there is a place that sells a beer. Then we'll see how we feel. At some point the road shifts and heads south along the peninsula. And if I can head south a little bit yet this evening, I will do it. But if it's more into the east, I'll be stopping for the day in Port Wing. You can see the lake is just rolling a little bit. It's probably 1.5 to 2 foot waves at the most. So good old Captain Bert's probably out fishing right now. I'll see if I can't get a hold of him and make some plans for a couple days from now. We'll go out and get some trout. Yeah, man. Motorboat. What's that? Port Wing rocks. We got a $5 rib basket. In fact, we got 2 of them because Lana's having one too. You can't see that here, but this place kicks some ass. There's no better salve for a headwind day than a couple of Pabst Blue Ribbons. Can't focus on that. Some ribs and some fries. Tomorrow we get up and do it again. Heading for Marinesco.